Over the last year or so, I've kind of really fallen out of like with Predecessor. I haven't really played it much, especially in the last 6 months, and I haven't made videos for it in over a year. So you may be wondering, what's the point of making a video telling everybody I quit if I've already quit a long time ago? And it's because I'm going to do something else with my channel, but there's also a couple of things that have happened recently that I wanted to talk about. Now, most recently, when it was a few days ago, I got a message from RGSAce over at Omeda, Robbie himself, and that message says, "Hey Zygor, hope you are well. Reaching out to a few community folks to get their top 10 wish list for Predecessor. Doesn't have to be 10 things if you don't have 10 things, but it would be great to get a sense of what you'd like to see from Predecessor on the gameplay front. If you can share pure gameplay changes that you would like to see, that would be helpful. I'm having trouble keeping track of all the feedback in the thread as it seems to consistently go from one topic to the next. Much appreciated, and thanks for taking the time." Now, I can't remember the exact title of the specific thread that he's mentioned, and I pulled it up in Discord, but I left the server because I'm just over the game. But it was something like Predecessor didn't take enough risks in early access, and now the game's probably going to die, which is a sentiment that I think I would agree with, and probably a lot of the players that have played the game historically would agree with as well. And it just, while the message means well, and while I'm sure Robbie's a great dude, I've talked to a lot of the developers at Omeda, and individually they're great people. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way because they had 2 years of a lot of great feedback from the community, and they didn't really do anything with it. And they haven't proven to us that they really are able to implement any meaningful feedback changes in a time span that's shorter than 12 months or 18 months sometimes. But not only that, they had that old feedback thread, and around the time version 1.0 came out, which I still haven't played, by the way, they actually allegedly archived, in the very least, the old feedback threads, if not just deleted them outright. And there was a lot of really good feedback in those threads. And granted, a lot of the time the threads did get a little bit off topic. It's Omeda's job to do research, not only with their community threads and figuring out what the community thinks would fix their game specifically, but they should be doing research on what has caused previous MOBAs in the past to succeed and what has caused them to fail. It seems like to me they have a lot of League players at Omeda, and they just kind of copy the League formula and then try to simplify it and hope that that will make their game successful. But Strive tried that in the past, and it doesn't work. I myself have given a lot of good feedback. A lot of it was in those feedback threads. The most viewed video on my channel to this day is still the video I made about the map, and I'll go ahead and put that up here if you want to watch that. And I think Omeda feels pretty good about what their map is, and so I don't think that's going to change. And I don't agree, but Predecessor also has a lot of other things that I don't like about it. And it's not just the map. And I think a lot of it isn't really their fault. I think that having played other MOBAs and done more research, that the IP that Paragon created, that Epic Games created, is just inherently flawed. The kit designs have very low mastery ceilings. You know, you got characters like Gadget, Sparrow, Countess, Chimera, Grux, pretty much all of them, bar like 3 to 5 characters, you can probably master in a couple hours. For a new player, it might feel a little more complicated, but I would guess that after like 5 to 10 games as a new player, you know how the character works. You might still struggle with the base mechanics of the game, and you might suck, but you know how the character works, right? And so they're kind of in a weird situation where they can't change the characters too much because people have expectations of how characters will perform, but the character kits just don't make for interesting and emergent gameplay, I don't think. And every time I play the game, I just feel like, man, why am I playing this game? I feel like there are other MOBAs that are more fun, and I feel like I just wish that Predecessor was the version of the game that I wish it was, that I have in my head, you know, that we all wish it was. And if I'm not enjoying playing the game, then my time is better spent elsewhere. And so that kind of bridges into what I wanted to talk about next, which is what I plan for the future and what I want to do with this channel. For those of you who don't know, I enlisted in the United States Air Force for the Air National Guard doing cybersecurity. I actually leave to go to basic training next week. So I'm going to be out of society for about 5 months, and I'll be back in February. But I've been working on learning C++ and Unreal Engine 5 and Blueprints and Blender over the last 4 months or so. And while by no means have I really gotten a base grasp or hold into it yet, I'm making progress. and I've started working on my own project. I have a name for it, but because I don't have like domains and things secured, I don't feel comfortable sharing it. So for now, I'm going to call it Project V, and I'm going to go ahead and put the link to it in the description for the Discord channel if you're interested in following the game when I get back. But basically, it's going to be a third-person MOBA. It's going to be inspired by Roman antiquity and medieval Byzantium. It's going to have magical elements, and then it's also going to have a much greater focus on verticality than Predecessor has. And there is a way that you can implement more verticality into the game, but you have to have that in mind when you're designing the base character roster for your game, because it's hard to just fix the issue where you have where like melee characters like Grux can't really interact with like a character that goes in the air a lot like Howitzer, because Crux just wasn't designed with that in mind, or like a Wukong, let's say. And I just wanted to let everybody know that this isn't a cash grab. I'm not asking for money. It's going to be probably multiple years before the project comes out, and I'm going to have to try to build essentially like an alpha or a vertical slice by myself, and then I'm going to take that to investors or venture capital or publishers. There's a lot of different routes you can take and try to get funding. That way I can build a team and then get the game actually going. So in the future, my channel is just going to be dev updates and what I'm doing on my own individual time. And I'll go ahead and throw a couple of concept arts on screen right now that I did with the Midjourney AI. I have about 20 characters workshopped out as far as their designs and their kits go. I'm using the Midjourney AI. I know that AI has ethics concerns and whatnot, but eventually I do plan on hiring an artist. So this is just to get like the idea across of what I'm thinking of, rather than this is what a character is going to look like, if that makes sense. Because while I can do a shitty MS Paint edit, it's not really going to convey like the feel or the tone of the game that I'm looking for, and I think that's important. While I'm in basic training, I'm not really going to be able to do anything at all, obviously. I'm just going to get yelled at for 2 months, but once I'm in my technical school, I should have a little bit more free time where I'm going to finish my game design document. And basically, that's kind of the end of pre-production as far as everything goes there. It's just an outline of all the features you want to have in your game, and I have it about 80% complete, but that last 20% is going to require a lot of like changing things around, and it'll probably balloon into really like 90% of the work. So for that next 3 months after I finish that, like the boot camp part of the training, I'll be finishing that up. And then when I get back in February, I'm going to continue teaching myself, the fundamentals of the coding in Unreal Engine and whatnot. And then I might look into getting some artists hired to make actual concept art and designs and things like that. And this channel is going to be focused on that. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed for meme videos, you can either be abducted to the channel's new purpose or you can leave. I'm not going to be mad if you do. I get it. Really, I'm not much of a salesman when it comes to these kinds of things. Like I said, I've linked the Discord in the description of the video. If you're interested and you want to know more about it, you can feel free to hit me up in my server. I'll try to get to anybody I can before I leave, and then when I get back, I'll also be answering questions. I just want to make sure everybody knows I don't intend this to be a cash grab, right? I'm not asking for any money from anybody. It's just something that I'm going to do as a hobby in my own time, and hopefully I would like to get it to a point to where it could grow into something more. So all of that said, uh, good luck with Predecessor, I suppose, and I'll see you guys in 5 months.